The Gridiron is sponsored by Anna Marie's. If it ain't Anna Marie's, it ain't breakfast.
Welcome to this week's edition of The Gridiron. I'm your host, John Brown, with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. Springford traveled west of the Susquehanna River, came up short against Cumberland Valley, 23-19. Coach, you know, these are some of the toughest shows after losses, but, you know, I was thinking about, in all your years of coaching, you know, here at Springford, Wilson, even before that, have you ever seen an end of the game play out the way that one did?
Yeah, I would say, you know, there's times where we've won games in the last second, and there's times where we lost games in the last second or on the last play. Not quite in this fashion.
Right.
But yeah, there was a moment where, oh my gosh, we're going to win. And then, oh no.
Yeah, right. I mean, like I guess what you're saying is when you're in the moment, you know, there's all these things running through your head. You know, do we have the proper block team out there? Like, because I'm sure that's the number one priority. Let's try and block the kick. But just the idea of, like, containing, it just is at that stage of the game, it's got to be also like a thing it's not a massive concern for you because they kick it, they win the game. The idea of running a fake is not going to happen.
And it was all out. You know, honestly, if they get the snap cleanly, we block it.
Yeah.
We had two guys coming off the kicker's left side that they didn't block, and you know, we saw that too. So as it's happening, you know, we're going to block it for a split second, and then he bobbles it, and we're going to tackle somebody for a split second, and then, oh no.
Yeah.
It was unfortunately the last second. But,
and I'm sure, and they were also, their kicker was, you know, a good kicker. They felt they got themselves in a position where they had their guy, you know, in a position to win the game, you know, like.
They had some long snap problems on punts earlier, and when we went to block it, the punt snaps were perfect. When we were playing more safe,
they were the poor ones.
They were the poor ones. So we kind of we had bad luck on that throughout the night. And you know, the other thing about that, as coaches, we spend the weekend talking about how we could have put our kids in a better position to win. You know, there's a number of ways to play that. You know, we could have kept the defense out on the field. We could have iced the kicker. There's a number of different things. But, you know, we chose to do it the way we did it. And we thought we put the kids in the best position. In fact, again, we would have blocked it, you know, if it was a clean snap and hold. But, you know, our staff is really good about that. You know, our guys are really professional in terms of no one is ever going to blame a kid.
Right.
You know, we ask ourselves, what could we have done better to put our players in a better position? And, you know, I told the guys on Sunday night, too, I'm really appreciative of that from the standpoint of, you know, that's all we talk about. And we're on text chains and calling each other on the weekend and saying, you know, and assistant coaches who are in charge of different teams take it, you know, upon themselves. They take it personally. We had it at the end of the game on that last drive, and actually on the previous drive, we had a couple missed assignments. And instead of blaming kids, our coaches made it a little easier for them going forward. So I'm very lucky as a head coach to have the staff that we have and to you know, guys internalize it and get better from it. And I hope that we can do that as a team, you know, from this.
Yeah. Good point. Like you always give compliments to your staff here on the show. You're constantly talking about them. So let's talk about maybe you as a little bit as a head coach. You know, like what did you feel like you learned something from the close game? Because, you know, some would say you see a lot of it, you know, like on TV, you know, like go back to Thursday night in professional football, like, you know, the Cowboys gave Brady too much time. Is there you looking back like I gave Cumberland Valley too much time back with the ball? As the head coach saying, you know, like.
No, we had defensively, we had a really good game plan and put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. He made his best throw of the night, just happened to be in the final minute. And, you know, as a play caller, unfortunately, that's always what happens after a loss. After a win, you can question yourself. Oh, it happens after wins, too.
Sure, yeah.
But after a win, it's a little easier to swat like, well, I didn't blow it. But, you know, we really struggled on third down in this game, whether we didn't hit the hole correctly, or they batted a pass down, or we didn't throw it on the money or whatever. And then, you have a menu of plays and you think, oh man, in this situation, if I had called this, there's no chance they could have batted it down, and we probably would have had a good opportunity to convert it. But, the truth of the matter is we should have been up probably 24-3 at the end of the first half. And part of that one play, again, and this is on us as coaches, we do preach it, but apparently we're not preaching it enough, is if there's a ball on the ground, pick it up and run. We batted a ball down that was a lateral, and our guys celebrated, not thinking it was an incomplete pass.
Right,
and I'm screaming, pick it up, pick it up. And unfortunately, the first person that heard me was the Cumberland Valley right tackle, and he jumped on it. And then we stalled 2 drives. Actually, we had the ball inside their territory on 3 different occasions and came away with a field goal. And one really deep. And so that's where, as play callers, Coach Strickler and I question ourselves, like, man, maybe we should, in one situation, I'll give you an example. On our last field goal, on third down, we gave an RPO option. And maybe we just should have handed the ball off, you know, and
make him use a timeout, whatever the case may be, or at least taking time off the clock for the run.
It wasn't really that. Like, hey, we moved the ball a little bit. We were running the ball okay, but we wanted to cover both our bases. If they blitz, we wanted to throw it in behind them. So it's not that it's a bad call. It was not the result we wanted. I think in hindsight, you look at those situations and you say, well, maybe we should have just handed it off. But we were trying to make sure that we got the first down. So you can question yourself. I'm sure people question things that we do.
Sure, yeah.
But ultimately, I think if all we can do is continue to put our kids in the best situation that we possibly can, and continue to work towards understanding what they're most comfortable with doing. But the problem is this isn't chess. We can't line the defense up where we want it.
Right,
we can't predict. We can predict, but we can't be guaranteed that they're going to blitz in this situation or they're not going to blitz in this situation. And the pieces move around the chessboard. So it makes it a little bit, obviously, more challenging. But, I feel like overall we just weren't on point on offense, and, we're going to work this week to improve.
All right. So one more line of questions here before we get, because big journalism school. Right? I am turning I got a lot of compliments on last week's show about some of the hard-hitting questions we were talking about here. Last question here. So, tale of two halves. Like, you're kind of in control in the first half, and then the second half, gets away. And there's just momentum plays in high school football games where, I think that this game had one of those plays where, Cumberland Valley, completed pass, but when you go back and look at it, it's your guy's ball essentially out there. I think we even have the clip here ready for you, Coach.
Well, I know what you're referencing. This was 4th and 8, so even if we knock it down, we get the ball at midfield. They eventually scored on this, but you can see Peyton West intercepted it, and they somehow called it a completed pass. If you look here, like Peyton tips the arm, pulls it out. The ball's never in possession, and when he goes to the ground, Peyton has it. And you can see by the reaction of the kid, he just put his head back like, oh, man. And you can see the reaction of Peyton. I think that, sometimes it's hard. It's hard to be a referee. Like, you're sometimes you're not exactly in the spot or you're blocked by a player or 2 players or a pile or whatever. There's been talk in high school football about instant replay. And I think the reason why it's not already in is because of this school doesn't have, huddle sideline, or this school doesn't have RCTV. But I think if it's available, we should make use of it. If there is video evidence of something and you can handle it in a minute or 2 and make the right call, we should do that. There was an incident a couple years back where one of our players got ejected for helmet-to-helmet contact, and he literally hit him below the shoulder pads and was ejected for that game and the next. If there's clear, and we had it instantly, there's clear video evidence of that, and you can handle it with, somewhat efficiency. You know, it's not going to be like the NFL where
Sure.
we shoot it off to Harrisburg and they make the decision. But, you know, I think that high school football should seriously take a look at that. And, you know, like I said, that was a 4th and 8 play. If it's knocked down, we get the ball at midfield. If he intercepts it, we're on the 35. And they ended up, that was a huge momentum change.
I think they scored then too, right? Don't they score?
They did.
Score a couple plays later,
They scored on that. And, you know, that would have been our ball. And who knows how it would have turned out. Obviously, we still have to make plays. And they scored on it. But, you know, then we came back and kicked a field goal and we're up. So we had the opportunity again to hold. And we had the opportunity earlier to make some plays. So I'm not in any way putting it on.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying. I'm not like showing it there. I'm just talking about how momentum, like a single play can just literally, you know, deflate and just get the other team going. Because now, like, once again, that receiver's like, oh my God, I dropped it.
Well, sometimes
and all of a sudden now we're back on offense and we got a chance to score.
There's 2 things that I said about that play. One is Peyton's got to stand up with the ball and show the referee, dude, I got it.
Yeah.
He kind of just let it roll away, and I think that helped
the case.
Yeah, or it didn't help the case.
Helped Cumberland Valley's case. We caught the ball. Yeah.
You know, the other thing with it is ultimately, I don't know. I don't want to go too far. Like it's not on that call.
No. I'm just my idea is the momentum idea of high school football. How, like you said, then talk about games in the past. You versus PV a couple years. You got a huge momentum, you know, in the half, and like just the play goes away. You kind of mess up, and they gain momentum.
Did we? What did we get?
It was the moment we had the lead, we had the lead against PV, and then they kind of came back.
Well, there were a couple fumbles.
Right, but I'm saying like it's those momentum plays are so huge.
Oh, they are in high school
football. Right,
football.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of the little segment line of questions.
I got you.
All right, Coach. With that being said, we do have some offensive highlights from the game. You want to check them out?
Sure.
All right, let's check out the offensive highlights from Springford, Cumberland Valley.
Offensive highlights are sponsored by What's Hot? Cards and Collectibles.
So quite honestly, not a lot of offensive highlights. This was one of them. Harry Adiefe Jr. did a much better job of running the ball, and like that's a great cut right there. And he puts his shoulder down at the end and falls forward for a couple more yards. You know, we didn't execute as well as we should have. I mean, Ryan Freed does a nice job here, but, you know, receiver-wise, we had some situations where we weren't in the spot we were supposed to be. All right, so he's looking there, and comes back across the field.
That's a tough find there, too, you know what I mean?
It was. This is a little RPO. This is the play on the 3rd down. We actually ran this same play on 3rd down later in the game, and you can see how we executed it here, reading that linebacker coming up. And the kid tried to get up in the air, but we knocked him down. So this counts as offense. This is the kick return with about 10 seconds left in the half, or maybe 20, something like that. And, you know, our guys did a pretty nice job, and Gage Swanger makes the kicker miss the tackle. And I thought, hey, going into the locker room, man, we needed that. We're up 10-3 going into the half. And you'll see here, we have some young guys up front, Mason Scott making a nice block and Tanay Shankar making a nice block. Mike Bendowski kicked out. And it doesn't take much. It takes guys doing the right thing, and you can have big returns. And then this is Gage Swanger again. This was an adjustment they made. You know, they cleared out the middle of the field and brought their safety down in the box. And Gage he actually was supposed to run a 5-yard route, and they communicated, and he just took off down the middle of the field, and they threw it right in behind the linebacker, and that was the end of it. So great job on their part. And, you know, if you look back at the film like we do on Sunday evenings with the kids, there were maybe 3 or 4 plays where if we execute it like we are taught, we have at least 3 60-yard runs because there's nobody there and one guy doesn't do what he's supposed to do and all you see is green. And we just need to get Harry out in the open field on some runs, and we're real close. And it would be easier to swallow, you know, had we blocked that kick or scored a couple times in the first half. But we got to learn from it anyway. You know.
Yeah, next week here.
We have next week.
Keep moving on.
And, you know, we don't have any breaks, you know, in our schedule right now. So.
All right, Coach. Well, good segment right there. Get ready for some more questions here in the next segment, all right?
Oh, yeah. The seat's getting hot.
Yeah, make sure you stay tuned here at the commercial break, and we'll bring you the defensive highlights from Springford, Cumberland Valley.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun, so everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
Hey! There are amazing things to discover in the forest.
Toothless, time to go! What you picking up on, bud?
It's a whole hidden world of wonders. And the perfect place to spend time with family. What better place to let your imagination soar? Experience nature and create a memory you can share. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest or park near you.
Welcome back to the Gridiron. I'm your host, John Brennan, with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach, here, defense. I know you got your defensive staff, and I know you kind of let them do their thing out there, and they had a great start to the season, you know. Pitched back-to-back shutouts, and then, you know, that second half, it's maybe gets away from a little bit out there, you know, like, what do you say to the defensive staff? Hey, calm down, we'll be fine, you know, like, what type of interaction has the game there? Because once again, those kids have been doing a great job all year long. Now they give up some points, you know, hang their heads a little bit. You got to stay positive. You know, what's the communication that's going from from you to defense that we're talking to the kids about that?
We're fine. Our kids in the second half, they ran the ball a little bit better, but we stopped them a number of times, and they either one time they scrambled for a first down on third down, and the kid's a pretty good scrambler, so it's not like we were awful. Mm-hmm. He just was a little better on certain plays, and then we had a couple coverage breakdowns where they were flaring their running back, and we weren't 100% confident in if I'm blitzing, should I flare with him or should I keep going to the quarterback, not trusting. Now, one, we didn't cover him, but not trusting the guys behind him are doing their thing.
Making their plays.
I mean, there's one play where we are blitzing and the back flares and he literally stops and the quarterback's not even looking, and we would have maybe created a sack fumble. Mm-hmm. So there's and then he scrambled for a couple yards. We almost had an interception in the last drive. I thought we did. There was a 23-yard pass where he scrambled, and then Carson Bogdan almost had an interception. I don't even know how he didn't knock it down. He was that close to the ball. But, it's just one of those things. You sometimes lose in life, and you sometimes lose in football, and how do you respond to that? So,
And I think we've talked about a lot in this show about not just high school football, but just dealing with adversity in all sports a little bit. Like, all right, you got to bounce back here because, like you said, there's no cakewalk in the schedule coming up here. You're playing against a kid this week. He's off his way to Penn State next year to play football. Like, they're going to have some guys ready.
They have guys.
You better be ready for this week then, too.
Yeah, they have guys. I mean, there's no break in the schedule, and they're very multiple on both sides of the ball. So.
And then not looking at journalists looking ahead. Next week, you got PV who just put up 55 against, Downingtown West over the past weekend. So, like you said,
we'll talk about
I
that
know.
later.
I'm looking ahead. That's what I do. Great answer on your part saying I'm only looking at Manheim Township. Good answer on your part.
Right.
All right. So one more just thought here about the defense here. So we're not going back. We're not doing massive changes. It's like you said, they're going to address something that we need to work on this week, and that's where their emphasis lies this week in practice.
Yeah, we didn't have Donnie Nicolene last week again. He's been nursing a hamstring, and
he was huge for that in week 2 game.
Oh, Donnie is an all-league player. I mean, he is just a tremendous player, and we benefit greatly from having him on the field. So we didn't have him on the field. Hopefully, we'll get him back again this week and try to really monitor better how we use him. But there's not a ton of changes that are going to happen, certainly not in personnel. There's
Right,
we've done a great job. Like you don't
played
throw
a
the baby
scrambling
out.
quarterback week 2. You guys held him
Yeah.
in check, whatever. This kid just made a couple more plays scrambling for them on.
Yeah, he did.
And
He did.
and once again, probably going back to last week's show where you talked about couldn't look at their record.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a good 0-2 football team going.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Especially defensively. And the other thing about it is we didn't create any turnovers. We did create one, but we didn't get it. But the rest of the night there were no turnovers. We turned the ball over on a fumble, which hurt us because we were inside the 30-yard line. So, you always say that, and we always preach about turnovers. When the other team doesn't turn the ball over, there could have been at least, on the punt snaps, there could have been a fumbled, punt.
Whatever. Tackle the punter,
we
whatever
had the
case
lateral
may be, yeah.
that we didn't get. We were close to a couple interceptions. Take any one of those, and
Yep.
maybe it's a different outcome. So.
All right, I was just trying to get some nuggets from that defensive staff.
Yeah.
What you're going to give away here. That's
Yeah.
all. You got to hold some things to the vest here, right? Can't give it to everybody.
Well.
You give them a lot, but you don't have to give them everything.
Right.
All right, let's check out the defensive highlights from Springford, Cumberland Valley.
Defensive highlights are sponsored by What's Hot Cards and Collectibles.
So Cumberland Valley used to be all wing tee, and now they are here.
This is the play.
I shouldn't have put this on here. So he throws a lateral, and you can see we stand around, and then finally that right tackle hears me screaming
And
kind
jumps
of
on it.
mopes on it.
Yeah, I guess that would be the thing. You didn't hear a whistle. Why are we stopping? That's
Right.
That's a high school football thing, right?
Right.
There you go.
This is Zach Zollers, who's just playing great right now. It gets a sack. He was all over the field and just has people talk about motors. He has a great motor.
Instant pressure, you guys right there.
Yeah.
Little stunt looks like you're running.
Ran a little like double X stunt, whatever you want to call it, and Will Fish got there for the sack. And this is just a great hit by Ryan Horvath.
Yeah, good call. Blitz up the middle too, right?
Yep. If you watch here, he's playing Mike linebacker, and we just created some angles, and he just knifed through there and made a nice hit in the backfield. If you watch here, they tried to run the ball, and they were successful on maybe a play or two, 5-6 yards, but then we always kind of third down, made the play, and then they had a couple fourth down conversions, and it's hard when the team, you have to be a little bit of a gambler, but when it's fourth down, it's hard to hold a team to 10 yards when they have 4 tries at it. Like I said, that was a 4th and 8. The one we showed in the first segment was a 4th and 8 that we thought we made the play, and now we had to go back and start over from first down, and they were able to score. So
Look, how was the crowd? How did the Springford travel well for us on Friday night? We had a good little traveling contingency.
the band did not go.
That's a long trip.
It's a long trip. No, there was not a lot of people there on our side. There was a ton of people on their side.
Well, they knew District 1 was traveling out to District 3. They
Yeah.
wanted to come see the action.
Right.
And obviously, once again, you're gonna go find teams to play. But it's a long day for you guys on Friday too, was it not?
Yeah, it's a longer drive home when you don't win, but we got out of school and went up to eat at. I got to shout out Mike from Longhorn Steakhouse
Somewhere in Harrisburg
on
area.
Carlisle Pike.
Okay.
He actually apparently had a wager on it that someone said he couldn't do it, and he had 95 meals ready to go when we got there. Like probably 20 of them were already on the tables, all set and ready to go, and then they got the rest of them out within 5 minutes. So he did a great job, and it was great working with him. So.
All right, Coach. Well, here we are on the week 4 here. Let me see if I get this right here. This is the Blue Streaks?
That's correct.
Man, look at me. All right. Make sure you stay tuned to the commercial break, and we'll preview the game with Manheim Township.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
but I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Welcome back to the Gridiron. I'm your host, John Brennan, with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach, we're going to preview the game here with Manheim Township, the Blue Streaks. I got that right in the last segment right there. Trivia for you right here. I know this is kind of your mini area, like Who's the PGA famous golfer that is an alumnus of Manheim Township?
Jim Furyk.
Yeah, good job. Way to go. Kudos to you. They have. I also think Amanda Balionis is a graduate of Manheim Township. Also, do you know who she is?
I do not.
She does like the interviews for CBS Sports.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we'll send this out to CBS Sports. Maybe I'll get a little shout out.
Yeah.
Journalist to journalism
Right.
communications. You know what I mean?
I got you.
All right. So the Blue Streak's making the trip here. District 1, District 3 coming this way here again. What are we going to see offensively? Like we said, they got a receiver, I'm pretty sure, on his way to Penn State too for them.
Yeah, Anthony Ivy. Their quarterback from last year is a preferred walk-on at Penn State right now. And they've had a lot of success. You know, they were in the Final Four a few years back in 6A. And, you know, they got a lot of things working for them. And although it's kind of what some would call a younger team, they are very multiple offensively. They're very multiple defensively. And fortunately for us, we've seen all the defenses they played, at least to this point, in previous games. But unlike previous games, they're switching in and out, and we're going to have to be very aware and conscious of, you know, what they are doing on each snap. So that is something that is going to be challenging.
Quick question for you. What number are we looking for the receiver going to Penn State? Number
5.
5?
I think.
Does he play any defense too? Or
He does.
He'll get in. He'll play some defense in there too.
5 or 12 or 7? I don't know. I don't follow numbers, to be quite honest.
Oh, I would be
should
like,
know.
look at number 5, guys. He's pretty good. You know what I mean? I guess that's.
Yeah.
But you're not the defensive staff too. Like.
Well, I mean, my role in game preparation is I watch everything, and then I have some comments for the defense, and I have an overview for the offense. And how we do it on the offensive staff is, you know, Coach Rodenball is looking at the blitz game, and Coach Strickler is looking at alignment and what they're doing in each play. Coach Algio is looking at the secondary. And so we're all kind of giving input into, like, I am the overview guy. Those guys are the specific guys.
Gotcha.
So
All right, Coach, let's check
That's
out,
why I don't know.
Let's check out the Blue Streaks on offense.
Upcoming highlights are sponsored by XPO Business Equipment.
So this is from last Saturday. They had a last-minute schedule change, and they are going against Harrisburg.
Okay.
And so big play right here. This is not Ivy, so it just tells you that they have a lot of different dudes at wide receiver.
Looks like they're trying to spread you out, trips to the right.
Yeah.
Kid just goes up and makes a play here, too.
Maybe that is him. I don't know.
Okay.
I will know by Friday, trust me. So, again, they're giving different formations. A lot of formations like we would do. This is not Ivy, I can guarantee. So
But uncovered
it's
tight end, essentially.
uncovered.
Slot guy, just throw it to him, go make a play.
Right. And it's on 3rd and short. And it kind of didn't cover him, so it's a quick pass and just get across the sticks and get another first down. And he moves the pile, too, as a matter of fact. All right, so you see there, again, getting it in the flat. You know, everybody, you can see Ivy's number, the 2 strong. He's number 5 right there, getting up running a little smash route. And, you know, you have to be aware of him, so it's hard to be aware of everybody. There you go. There he is.
This is him running
That's
a little
him.
corner route.
Yep. So it's really hard to run a corner route from like where he's going with no one else kind of pushing. So it's just one-on-one there, and he turns the kid's shoulders and makes a nice.
Yeah, because the
nice
kid's got the
reception.
outside on him to start the play, too.
Yep. Yep. And here's something they do to try to get him the ball quick. It's a little tunnel screen. So he just takes a step upfield, takes a step back, and then you see 2 linemen
Getting out and
getting
blocking.
out and blocking for him. So that's a tough thing to cover. So, you know, definitely on defense, we have our work cut out for us. You know, we played excellent games the first 2. Really, quite honestly, we played an excellent game on Friday night. We just didn't score enough points. So those guys, you know, gave up on defense like under 300 yards of offense. Like you were around 260.
Okay.
And so
You'll take your chances as a defense giving up 260.
Yeah, 260 yards, I tell you, we win every time.
Yeah.
But that's not the case when you don't get any turnovers, when you turn it over yourself, and you're not very good on third down.
Yeah, take field goals instead
exactly.
All right, what are we going to see from Manheim on defense?
So they play a 3-4, they play a 3-3, and they play a 4-3. And so
they dabble in it all.
They do. And so, that's something that we're going to have to be very aware of. We're going to have to identify it. In the secondary, they play some cover 2, they play some cover 4, they play some man. They do a lot. So we're going to have to identifying fronts and coverages is going to be huge for us on Friday night.
All right, let's take a look at Manheim Township on defense.
Upcoming highlights are sponsored by XPO Business Equipment.
So remember, this is Harrisburg, and there's a fumble there, but you can see they are very aggressive defensively. They get to the ball carrier, and, they're all over the field. They're all over the field. So here they're in a 3-4. They run a little zone read action. The quarterback pulls it.
Forget to block the cornerback, and he makes a play.
Well, it didn't block the cornerback.
Yeah, forget
17's hanging his head there. But here, it looks like they got a little surge, Harrisburg, right there, but then they close it down, and the back doesn't stay in the hole, which doesn't help either, and they run it down. Here was a play where they were beat. They were beat, and the quarterback just underthrows it. The kid made a nice recovery and play. And by the way, Manheim Township lost on the last play of the game as well.
Wow.
So,
I'd watch for these highlights. I'd be like, how did Harrisburg do anything here?
Well, there were other
good
plays,
highlight clip by you there.
Other plays in between. Okay. Quarterback gets pushed out of the pocket, and they run him down. But, we're both in similar situations. They lost 2017.
You were stealing my thoughts. You're both teams going to be hungry on Friday night a little bit here.
Yeah. Well, listen, the other thing that I've told the kids is they're 1-2. In District 3, 8 6A teams make it.
It's only
7-3. Yeah, 7-3's on the cusp, And so I felt like Cumberland Valley was a little bit of a desperate team on Friday night.
You're going to get the same thing.
And we're going to get the same thing. And so, they're 1-2. They certainly don't want to drop to 1-3. And
they
lost.
They got guys in their league schedule that are going to be comparable opponents, right?
And they lost on the last play of the game in overtime. And they, when they played Dallastown, I think they lost on the last drive. Now it wasn't with no time remaining.
But they went down and scored.
But they went down and scored to win the game. So, and their other game was tight. So they played tight games, came up short on 2 of them and won one on pretty much a last-minute field goal as well.
Yeah.
They won against CD East. So they played tight games. We played one tight game and didn't pull it out. So, that's a couple checks in their column over there, and they're going to be, they're going to be ready to play, and we just simply have to match intensity, and we're home. And we should have, an advantage in that way. So we'll see how it plays out.
One more thing here before we sign off. We know the other Pac coaches are big tuned into the Gridiron. They're always watching the Gridiron. Any of these District 3 coaches be like, hey, watch the show? Any feedback from the other coaches? Anybody?
I have not. I will start. I'll start.
I'm always looking for some help too in my journalism career, that sort of thing too.
Some feedback.
Yeah, maybe I could, expand the journalism career for myself a little bit there too.
Well, maybe
I would be like, hey, you saw I tweeted out the link. Did you catch that a little? Did you try it?
Yeah, no.
It's not hard to ask that question.
I would guess that teams want to see what I say just in case I say something stupid.
Right.
And they want to,
exactly.
They want to put it on the whiteboard or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Do we still have the bulletin boards, or are we just using whiteboards?
You could probably just send some sort of message machine. It's just on the Google machine. I'm sure somehow they can do that. So. All right, Coach. Well, best luck to you in the crew Friday night.
Thank you.
Make sure you tune in next week as we recap the game with Manheim Township and prep you for the start of Pac play as we start with Perkiomen Valley. For the head coach, Chad Brubaker, I'm John Brendan. See you next time on the Gridiron.